Good afternoon, everyone, or morning if you're East Coast like me. We'll be getting started here very shortly with the series for today, which is going to be Destar against ZiKiPCHiK, and this is going to be an Orc versus Chaos Space Marines matchup. This is one of my favorite matchups in the entire game, so I'm really looking forward to today's series. It should provide some exciting games. With that, I'm going to put myself back on mute until we have the first lobby ready to go here. But feel free to talk in chat and ask any questions. I'll respond as I can. Alright, everybody, we have game one here between ELM, ZiKiPCHiK, and Mad Destar. This is going to be a Chaos against Orcs matchup, and we're starting out on the map Fallen City. For those who are tuning in for the first time to this series here, something to note is we are playing a 5-map series, not a best-of-5 series. So we will play all 5 games, regardless of the results of the series up to that point.
Oh, hey, boss.
Sounds a little loud. My headphones, so I'm going to reduce that just a wee bit.
Where's the fight?
See, standard opener here on the side of Destar. This is very common out of Orcs in pretty much every matchup. The 2 Slugga Boys, 1 Gretchen, Boys Hut Generator start. On the side of ZiKiPCHiK, we see a Chaos Space Marine start with 2-3 Cultist squads. So this is a little bit interesting to me. Quite a few players in this matchup specifically really prefer starting with Nade Cult, but here we're seeing a little different idea out of ZiKiPCHiK going into the more traditional Chaos Space Marines. Actually using the first squad here, it looks like, at least the plan is going to be to cap that. Doing a little bit of decap harass over here to prevent Destar from getting this point up early. I like that, especially because Destar kind of walked all the way across the map to try and take that. So doing this little bit of harass here is a good way to just slow that down and prevent him getting that point up. And we saw in the last series against Blast Furnace that sometimes Destar likes to pull out some aggressive cap orders. We also saw that against Yang Wen Li. And sometimes he likes to play more conservative cap orders. So kind of a good read there to go for that decap on the far point. And worst case scenario, you run forward with that cultist squad, you see they're not capping it, and you just pull back, right? See a Slugga Boy and Shoota Boy squad moving forward here to do a bit of harass. If this cultist squad stays and tries to fight, it is going to die against these 2 squads here. Even at this member count for each squad, that is not a winnable fight.
We are under attack. Are in the area.
Enemies of the dark gods.
Over here, we have gotten this listening post up, but we're now pushing a little bit and putting some aggression on using the Space Marine squad, attack Marines along with the Cultists and the Chaos Lord. We see stealth resurged for the Gretchen here to make it easier to get these listening posts down in spite of all this harass that's going on. And we're doing continued kind of multi-point harass for both players. Well, I shouldn't say multi-point for both players. Each player is being forced to play on two different parts of the map because we are seeing kind of counter-harass on the side of Destar to push back the capping on the side of ZiKiPCHiK, similar to what we're seeing out of him to slow down the capping and listening posts on the side of Destar. But it looks like in this exchange, both players have gotten their listening posts up, so they're not in a terrible position here. This Big Mech teleported across the river here to join in and strengthen this army over here. So he may be able to get this listening post down and do a decap, which would be a little bit of economic damage here. And if we look at economy on the side of the orcs, it's currently plus 86, plus 10. We see 25 orc pop. So we're going to be seeing probably more WA banners added on here into a pile of guns. That's a pretty typical transition. We do indeed see this get decapped here at the cost of quite a few Slug-a-Boy models. And we see there are 2 Space Marine squads out. This one here's at 6 members, this one's at 5. Along with the Chaos Lord, this is a pretty solid army that's going to do quite well against this relatively low member count Shoot-a-Boy squad and Slug-a-Boy squad. I like this. On the opposite side of the map, the Slug-a-Boys are coming over and capping this critical location. If these cultists try and fight those Slug-a-Boys, they will not be long for this world. So really here he's going to be able to see this. I don't even know that I would have stopped capping. I would have just continued capping and go on. It's not likely you're going to kill, but that presented an opportunity for your opponent to undo the cap progress so far and slow you down on that. And those couple of cultists are not going to damage your Slug-a-Boys at all. And if he mass reinforces that, it's just going to slow down tier 2. So we see frag grenades being added on, power being added on for ZiKiPCHiK, and an armory. So this is looking like some tier 1.5 play. See a Stormboy squad out now on the side of Destar, second Stormboy squad. Both of these are having the Knob leaders added on to the squads. This is a good counter into the Space Marines because you get much faster or much higher mobility, the ability to harass quite a bit. And in large numbers, you can just tie up the Chaos Space Marines. We have the pile of guns here. Do we have anything else kind of going down? Just additional WA banners, so potentially we'll see vehicles before too long. Seeing the harass coming in here on the side of Destar, going after these plasma generators and listening posts. Again, this is just good play here on the side of Destar. You need to be doing some economic harass here. Keep the Chaos Space Marine player low on economy. And then you're going to be able to kind of just grind them down as orcs. We do see he's currently at 104 and plus 10. On the side of Chaos, we're at plus 86 and plus 20. So this continued harass is really putting the Chaos player on the back foot. And I think the lack of mobility here is one of the main reasons that Chaos Space Marines tend to be less favored in this matchup now over Nade Cult. In the early game, having 5 squads just allows you to respond to harass a lot more because you can position them both defensively and aggressively, potentially do some counter harass yourself, and things like Slug-a-Boys can't really walk up against a ton of Nade Cult.
It is a good pain.
Slug-a-Boy's just over here slugging away at this listening post. See these two squads of Chaos Space Marines along with the Chaos Lord over here doing pretty good damage to these Stormboy squads. So not going too bad in the heads-up fight over here. Shooter boys have the big shooters on, and they're able to kind of just camp here and do damage. So with this tie-up, this is going to slowly go the way of the orcs. Even with the Chaos Lord and melee, the big shooters are just doing way too much DPS here. The Slugger boys over here fighting aggressively with some units there, but ZiKiPCHiK calls game 1. So we will be going on to game 2 here in this series. Kind of a classic example on that map of just how extra mobility comes in big in the early stages of the game, because you need to be able to harass and deal with, or keep your opponent's economy low. Forgive me as I stumble over my words this morning. And especially on a spread out map like that, high mobility units like either Raptors or Storm Boys are quite good. As I said, nade cult openings can be quite good as well because you have quite a few squads to be able to move around, and cultists are reasonably quick units. If you get to tier 2 and you start getting rhinos out, then the Chaos Space Marines are going to hold a ton of value because they will deal a lot more damage and they'll be a lot tankier than the cultists. And with the rhinos, you'll have a lot more mobility. But you kind of have to get there first in order to get that mobility to deal with the harass that can come out of the orc player with Storm Boys in tier 1.5. But well played by both. Be getting into game 2 shortly here. Looks like we'll be on Meeting of Minds for game 2. Now this map tends to be a little bit more defensively minded than Fallen City. Fallen City, the points are relatively spread out, making harass with things like Storm Boys quite a bit better. This map, a lot of your points are quite close to the base, which makes setting up defensively easy. You also have a guaranteed 4 points very close to your base, and then even your relic and far point are really not that far. So it becomes a lot harder to do harass because you can kind of just bounce back and forth or position defensively. Even if you were to go with another Space Marine opening, you know, you can put some here, you can put some here, and you can easily bounce over to your relic and defend. It's going to be quite hard to get into the base, even if you bring Storm Boys, you can just walk back. Tends to be that the center of the map on Meeting of Minds is what you're fighting over. Control of these heavy cover spots as well as this central critical location. We do see similar opener here out of ZiKiPCHiK, except this time he, well, no, same deal, going 2 or 3 cultist squads into a Chaos Space Marine squad, and I imagine we'll see Chaos Lord soon behind.
Our victory is assured. We're here for the Dark Gods. We can serve you. We are
Yep,
eager
Chaos
for
Lord.
peace.
See our listening post coming down.
We captured it for chaos.
See listening posts built up here on the side of Destar. And again, this is a map where relatively conservative cap orders are pretty typical. This kind of counter or little bit of harass here could potentially go to the relic, But it looks like he's just trying to be sneaky and maybe capture this critical location. No, changing his mind there. Potentially going for the relic to disrupt the cap of the relic. This is, again, very common thing to happen on this map. You take your points, you end up fighting a little bit in the early game over the relic and potentially this far point. Looks like he will probably lose this cultist squad here to the Shooter Boys, and even if he manages to finish this cap, which he does not before that squad dies, this would then be decapped by the Sluggas. Good defense here on the side of Destar. He's going to manage to cap this, no problem. The Chaos Space Marines here not going to be able to kill this big mech fast enough, and this listening post will get built up there. So, advantage currently to Destar for economy, because he'll have more posts up, and he'll have this relic, whereas ZiKiPCHiK is still fighting over getting this relic. Kind of bringing the whole band here to try and push back the Shooter Boys and this Slugga Boy squad. If he gets a wipe on this Shooter Boy squad, that would be quite good and potentially open up the possibility of a counter push from him here. See the Slugga Boys capping the critical location there. Getting pushed back over here. But this Shooter Boy squad survives just fine. These cultists are not going to kill that Shooter Boy squad. And with this LP2 here, you're going to be forced to just pull back. Not a lot you're going to be able to get done. Need to cap that relic. Good on Destar here, just taking one of his Slugga Boy squads, kind of as we saw in the last game. He knows his opponent's army is over fighting him. Send this Slugga Boy squad in, do a little bit of scouting, maybe see if there's a generator or a listening post that's exposed that we can attack. Pushing in with the two Chaos Space Marines here, as well as this Cultist squad and the Chaos Lord. I think it's going to be quite hard to trade cost effectively and get this relic down, and if he commits to that, another cultist squad gets wiped, preventing the relic capture. So economy wise, better than last game. We're at plus 80, plus 20 for ZiKiPCHiK, but it's still rough here because he's struggling to get that relic point up. Those are stealthed, right? No, surprisingly enough. He has not researched the stealth on the Gretchen yet. But at the same token, there's enough now with the Storm Boys, the Shooter Boys coming in with big shooters. Gretchen's repairing this listening post. This harass is effectively over, and these Space Marines are very, very likely to die here. At least one of these squads, I would say, is very likely to die. Yeah, this one's at 2 members. But manages to survive, detaches the Chaos Lord to kind of slow down the enemy. Pursuing him, now reattaches to the Chaos Space Marine squad. We have the Storm Boys. They can just fly in now and do tie-up the big shooters. This is the same problem we kind of saw last time, is that tier 1.5 distinctly goes the Orc's way against this Chaos Space Marine build. And if you overinvest with an armory and the like to try and get, say, heavy bolters, you're just going to be way too delayed on your tier 2, and your Space Marines are going to lose their effectiveness very, very quickly. We do see tier 2 is already here though. Chaos Sorcerer is coming out, so I like this variation on the side of ZiKiPCHiK a bit more with the Space Marine opening. It's allowing him to at least get to tier 2 here, and then this now gives him the possibility, if he can kind of stabilize here, to get a machine cult out and start getting his Rhinos and Hell Talon mass going. I think it's going to be hard though, because there's already quite a mass of Storm Boys here. You're kind of banking on the Chaos Sorcerer landing an incredible Doom Bolt here in order to try and really kill these squads down and have enough DPS left over on your side to really shred the Orc player. That was a very good Doom Bolt, hit both squads there, so as far as Doom Bolts go, that is what I would hope for. Good TP in, focus fire on the cultist building the machine pit, so vehicles will be delayed even further here. This squad very low. ZiKiPCHiK calls it. GG on game 2 here. So currently we have a 2-0 lead for Destar. Going into game 2 very soon. Or, sorry, game 3. Hey, Remass. Hello, Wolf Warrior. Thank you for the raid. Yeah, I really kind of want to see ZiKiPCHiK change it up here and potentially go for a Nade Cult opening or maybe even a Raptor opening. I'm not sure how viable Raptors are at higher levels of play, but something that would give him a higher amount of aggression in the early game, I feel is kind of necessary here because the Space Marines are being countered pretty well by Destar, and the lack of mobility on the Space Marine squads, especially on these large maps, is quite a problem in my mind. Looks like we'll be going to Fata Morgha for game 3. So this is a little bit smaller of a map, which potentially could favor his strategy again. But again, I think it's time to mix things up, potentially go with a different opening here and try to play a little bit more aggressive and in the Orc's face at this point, because if you let Destar get to tier 1.5, we've seen repeatedly he's a master with the Orc early game, beating Yang Wen Li and beating Blast Furnace's Space Marines, and he did all of that off from the back of some really smart builds and good early game play. But looks like no variation here in build for ZiKiPCHiK, still going 2 Cultist, Heretic, 3rd Cultist with Chaos Temple, spending a huge chunk of the life of the first Heretic here to speed build this Chaos Temple. And on the side of Destar, no reason to change it up if it's working, so he's just going with 2 Slugga Boy, Gretchen, Boys Hut Generator. For any of you that play fighting games, you might be familiar with the idea that in a fighting game, you just do not stop spamming a move if your opponent can't block it effectively. Well, that's kind of what we see Destar going with here. But on the converse side of that, you should be mixing it up when you are being countered. Ah, beautiful. Okay, so we do see a variation now. We're not going with the Chaos Space Marines, we're going straight into Raptors. And I like this quite a bit. Raptors are going to give a lot more mobility here to potentially counter-harass the Orc player, which should help the early game here be a little bit better for ZiKiPCHiK. See Cultist squad plus this Raptor squad going forward straight to the relic point. And this is very common harass on Fata Morgha. You basically will have 2 points that are usually harassable by the time you're kind of done with your cap order. And that would be this point over here and this point over here, the relic point. And of the 2, the relic point takes longer to capture, so if you're going to go for harass, you generally go for the relic point. This squad here, idling, should be capping this critical location. This is a case where Maybe ZiKiPCHiK is not doing kind of shift queuing with his units, because you should shift Q with an attack move over to this area, and then shift Q from that into capping the point. Stealth on the Gretchen here to make it easier to secure these points.
What's it? What? Yeah. It now belongs to the Horde.
Lost quite a few members on this Raptor squad, which is very unfortunate. Does not manage to delay the relic either, but his relic is delayed again, kind of similar to game 2.
Where's the fighting?
But he will get this squad of Slugga Boys, so little... Oh, come on. If it gets away by one model, that is the worst feeling in the world. Oh, Caster Curse, man. Caster Curse, I'm sorry. I say you're gonna get the squad and then it gets away by one model. Rough. Counter harass though on the side of Destar, going for this listening post over here with the Big Mac Sluggas and Shoota Boys. I imagine behind this, Wa Banner. Already have one Wa Banner up. I like this though, using cultists to cap these two crits. It's kind of the one advantage that Chaos has, is that cultists are relatively cheap, relatively mobile, so you can be out capping crits and the like on a map like Fata Morgana, using them just to keep your opponent playing the map and potentially having to decap the crits so that you have a little bit higher chance of securing your own side. Because it is possible, as we're seeing here, to kind of harass and punish the capping on the side of Chaos. There was a window there in between the cultist squad finishing the cap and Destar walking up here with the Sluggas, where he potentially could have put a listening post down if he was very, very quick with the APM. Definitely had the resources for it too. See, plus 62, plus 20 on the economy, plus 98, plus 10. See, we are done with our pile of guns. Second generator on the side of Destar and at 45 Orc Pop. Just kind of running around here with these Slugga Boys, buying time on his units. Big Mac Slugga Boys coming for harass yet again. Actually managed to decap this, and now has Stealth Gretchens coming over. We do not have the Unholy Sight upgrade for the cultists right now, so the only vision for the Stealth Gretchen would be the Tainted Acifix from the Chaos Lord. Tier 2 done. I like this, that, you know, the investment wasn't super heavy. It's not like he went for 3 Raptor squads or something like that. He went 1 Raptor squad, the 3 cultists and the Chaos Lord, and just tried to play around the map with that to get tier 2 quicker. We see Machine Cult almost done already, so this is not going to be delayed this game. So the question in my mind now is, what are we going to see out of the Machine Cult? Pretty traditional thing to do here would be switch into spamming out the Hell Talons and go for some counter harass yourself. Try to take out Wa Banners, try to take out generators, etc. with the Hell Talons. On the side of Destar, we see that he is now transitioned into a mech shop, so he's got his tech going, building up more generators to deal with the power draw that will come from spamming out war trucks and war tracks. Like this, getting a tank busta squad initially and a war truck. It's going to give him some mobile anti-vehicle damage. Knowing that his opponent's tier 2, he has to suspect this machine pit.
assured.
And actually, we do not see Helltalons, we see immediately into Defilers. On this map, Defilers can be quite good. You can see as I zoom out here, really you have this spot, and this spot to cut off movement if you want to really restrict and set up defensively. And if you have a couple of Defilers, one say positioned here, one positioned here or here, you can really effectively cover the whole of entryways into your base to potentially limit and disrupt this harass. We do not have the additional vehicle cap increase researched yet, which is a bit of a problem here. And the other thing that's problematic here is that you're really just relying on your two commanders here to deal with the war truck and the units inside. I think you need something more here. The other benefit to going the Helltalons initially is you can chase down war trucks quite a bit more effectively.
We can serve you. We are eager to please.
But we're kind of banking some resources here. I'm not sure if the plan is going tier 3. I would probably say that's premature at this point. I would want to get a couple more vehicles up and maybe a couple squads of Chaos Space Marines at this point. So I would feel like I can withhold any orc aggression, because knowing that war tracks are coming out, you really need something here. Actually, scratch the Chaos Space Marine suggestion. With war tracks coming out, the play should be a demon pit to get out the horrors. Good harass, keeping these 2 points decapped, keeping his opponent's economy low. We can see plus 44, plus 50, plus 104, plus 50 on the side of Destar. So this is really, really difficult to deal with here. And with the war tracks out, the tank bustas, it's going to be exceptionally difficult to hold with just one Helltalon and the two Defilers. Banking quite a bit of resources, though. Definitely could have spent those on horrors or Chaos Space Marines, something to kind of deal with that army a little better, but GG is called here on the side of ZiKiPCHiK. So that is a defense for the current reigning Emperor of the Hill, Destar. But as I mentioned earlier, this will be a 5-map series, not a best of 5 series. So we do still have 2 more games here to play out that potentially could allow ZiKiPCHiK to claw back a couple of games here. Just waiting on the lobby now, and then we'll get into game 4. Yeah, I like the opening quite a bit more from ZiKiPCHiK in that game, but I do feel like the tier 2 kind of game plan was a little bit more muddied. I understand trying to get to the Defiler mass, especially on Fata Morgana, but I think getting out 1 to 2 Helltalons initially, expecting counter harass to continue from the orcs, gives you way more ability to play it. It just gets really rough in those scenarios when your opponent's able to do economic damage to you, but you're not really able to do a ton of economic damage to them. So I feel like this matchup kind of revolves around counter harass on both sides. What can Chaos do to slow down Orc, and what can Orc do to slow down Chaos. If you try to go for just the most durable kind of heads-up army, oftentimes you're left with a relatively immobile army in this matchup, at least on the side of Chaos. So we'll be going into Quest Triumph here for game 4. This is another good map to go with a Raptor opening. You have these cliffs here in order to be able to kind of jump into the base and do some harass, and it helps with potentially disrupting capping on this point and this point. And on this map, we've seen very often the strategy is to try and cap this point if you are Chaos, so that you can secure it and prevent your opponent from being able to fire from the low ground and keep you from ever holding a listening post on this point. Going forward immediately, capping this point. No, looks like we're going for a straight up aggressive play here with the cultists. So the very first cultist squad is going to go and try to disrupt. Maybe it's going for a cap on this, a very aggressive forward cap. We see on the side of Destar, he's going for a relatively conservative cap order, taking the in-base points and this far point, and then going to the very far point. Back to the Chaos Space Marine opening with the Chaos Lord.
Sod off.
I'm not doing anything.
Jobs are good un, boss.
This point's going to be capped very, very soon. Then the Heretic here can speed build the listening post on it.
Spiky boys are coming.
Like this, sending this cultist squad forward, expecting the same out of your opponent. Should just start decapping. Had the opportunity there to decap it, but missed it by a hair.
Fix your coming.
Chaos Lord out, first squad of Space Marines out. Using the cultists to tie up the Shooter Boys, but the problem is the cultists do not have very high life. So in melee against the Shooter Boys and Slugger Boys, they're not going to live very long.
Green is best.
I feel like in this matchup, if you're going the Chaos Space Marines, you should really not try to fight with the cultists, and you should instead just be looking to use them for capping the map. Because they're not likely to do a whole lot against Shooter Boys and Slugger Boys in the early game without Nade Cult. So I'd probably just be emphasizing capping like these crit locations, capping this, capping this, capping the center. Try to do whatever I can to get a little bit more requisition income in the early game, because reinforcing Chaos Space Marines is quite expensive as well. So you really want the Chaos Space Marines, or the extra economy here if you're going to go this Chaos Space Marine build. Going melee here is perfectly fine. The Chaos Space Marines do have higher melee damage than the Shooter Boys and even the Slugger Boys, or without the more choppy research. So good there, breaks the morale on the Shooter Boys, does quite a bit of damage on them. May pick off this Slugger Boy squad. I'm not going to say will, because if I do, he won't. Does manage to get it though. You know, I've got to be mindful of the caster curse. If I say he's going to do something, chances are it's probably going to end up being the opposite. We have a special guest of my dog, and potentially my son now. Let's do a quick check on the economy. Plus 86, plus 10. Plus 104, plus 10. For Chaos here, you're going to be wanting to add on generators and go to tier 2 relatively soon. Your map position's really not all that bad as Chaos here. You've kind of traded positions in terms of the outer points and the relic. You both have a crit to your name. Well, Orc will have one very soon. Main difference here is the Orc has listening posts up already on everything. And on the side of ZiKiPCHiK, we do not have this relic captured just yet. So that's where the economy advantage is coming from, but it's going to normalize here relatively quickly. So nothing too crazy going on right now. Have a third squad of Chaos Space Marines here. Both of these squads basically reinforce to max with an aspiring champion. I feel like that might be a little bit of an overcommit, but he's getting good damage in right now, picking off the Sluggaboy squads and kind of slowing down his opponent. I'm not sure I love pulling back fully from this relic. I'd rather keep the Orc contained than try to fight for this relic point over here. But it works out okay for him. Works with the Storm Boys out. Additional generators getting added on the side of Orc. We're a little bit off from the Orc pop we would need to start going vehicles, but I imagine that's probably the transition before too long. Can't really expect Orc to be able to push in. As predicted, we have a special guest. My dog really wants some lemons and wants to get into this cast, apparently. Kind of a big fight here. Whoa, girl. Down. Or at least come from the other side so you're not bonking the microphone stand. Okay. Got a big fight going on here. Lots of tie-up. So these Space Marines are kind of in a disadvantaged position here, even in the heavy cover with all this tie-up going on. Just very hard to fight into this Orc army. Look at all the bodies. What a bloodbath in this one heavy cover spot. One squad at 8 members. One squad at 3. Another squad at 3. Running this squad. I have no idea who actually came out ahead on that. Economy still pretty similar for both players. Small requisition advantage for the Orcs, but small power advantage for ZiKiPCHiK. Problem is there's really nothing to spend this power on because having to take that fight at that time delayed getting tier 2 by the looks of it. So there's really nothing that this power can be going to, which is why he's banking quite a bit, other than maybe LP2s. Which, given how the game is kind of going, maybe LP2s are the answer, because at least then you'll get a little bit more requisition income from each point while you're trying to do this kind of counter fight over here. Heavy bolters being added on. I'm not sure I love adding on the heavy bolters too. I feel like you kind of... I don't know. I feel like that's going to delay the tier 2 by so much that you're just never going to hit tier 2. So you're basically saying, I'm all in on tier 1.5. We need to win now. Voice-Up going to go down though to all this heavy bolter fire, so maybe this will work out if it turns into a true base trade scenario. So that's kind of what it's looking like right now, is this is just a base trade. We do have pile of guns over here. We do have a Wabbanner in the listening post. See the Stormboy speed boost being researched. Stormboys, one squad at 12 members, one squad at 5. Might as well max out the Stormboys, because with upgrades, that's probably your best chance here, is to just do as much damage as you can in your opponent's base, take out all their points, basically cripple their economy to the point of irrelevance, and then just come back and fight this army, knowing that they can't afford to reinforce this constantly. Although right now, ZiKiPCHiK does have the money to potentially reinforce this, so he really should, in my mind, be reinforcing that army, because you're just playing tier 1.5 wars here.
Enemies of the dark gods, beware!
We need enemies.
Trust me and die.
Starts reinforcing, Stormboys are coming back. Very, very high member counts on the Stormboys now. Trying to rebuild the boys' hut and a Wabbanner here. See, this is the pain when you start losing Wabanners, though, is you can get into these situations where you can't easily rebuild your supply. The squad morale broken. Ideally, you kind of want to try and pull back your morale broken squads and at least force them to chase. Because once they become morale broken, your damage is going to go down a ton anyway, and it's generally better to have them kind of running around at that point than trying to fight. Kind of looking like the requisition income here is just going to carry Destar through in this fight. Both players at very low economy, but worse off for ZiKiPCHiK. GG called. So that will be game 4. That was a much closer game than games 1 through 3. I do like the way that ZiKiPCHiK was playing out quite a bit of that match. I have my nitpicks here and there of, like, maybe you don't need to go back to try and take the relic point, but on the whole, he was playing that quite well. Hello, Tank. Hello, Montana and Dementor, or Dementantor, Tenor. Good Lord, your name makes my brain hurt. There's too many things in there. Too many A's. And yes, Happy New Year to everyone. And yes, my dog likes to butt into the casts and join in. What you gonna do? Just the way she is. But she's a very sweet dog. So we'll be getting into our final game of the series here. I don't know if you necessarily want to just hear "Aru" the entire time. Now she's laying on the bed behind me. She got her attention in, and now she's ready to nap. Yeah, I'm still kind of wanting to see the Nade cult broken out here. I feel like it's pretty darn good in the orc matchup in particular. Yes, the Big Mac can be a bit of a pain, and if they fast transition into vehicles, it can be a bit of a pain. But in general, I feel like you get a lot more aggression out of it. All right, here we go for game 5 in this 5-map series. ZiKiPCHiK and Destar here on Emerald River. Montana filling me in with the deep lore here. Destar is quite known for being very good against Nade Cult, so likely does not, or ZiKiPCHiK likely does not feel that he is going to be able to pull off Nade Cult against Destar here, especially if Destar, as Montana is saying, is pulling out wins against Dantis Nade Cult. Yeah, you gotta kind of mix it up at that point.
How can I serve?
I like seeing the Raptors start again. This is another really good map for a Raptor start. Points being so spread out gives you a lot of potential to go and harass, say, the Relic point or this far point here. Even this one here can be harassed depending on what your opponent's cap order is. Same opener out of Destar here. I like this, going and capping this far one earlier on. Same here. In this map, it can be quite difficult to secure these once harass starts, so early capping them is quite nice. Same here on the side of ZiKiPCHiK. Raptors out. Question to me will be whether we add a second Raptor squad after the Chaos Lord. I think on this map it could be quite good. It may not necessarily be optimal, but you would have a lot of harass potential on this map because of how spread out it is. And hello, Gear on Acid. And dogs do not care about whether you're casting or not. Her opinion is, I'm not showing her enough affection, so she's just gonna come over and get some affection. Even though she gets plenty of affection all day long, she's just that kind of dog where she wants constant attention. Slugga Boys over here harassing this cultist squad. It's gonna make it hard to capture this point and secure it. Side of ZiKiPCHiK, where are our Raptors right now?
Anything for the great powers.
Running back. I don't really agree with that. I think when you're harassing in the early game like that, trying to mess with this listening post, if you see that this is going up, you should really just go and check the other listening post positions, the other strategic points. Like, he could have came from here and just flew over with the Raptors, seeing that this one was still being capped, and potentially get a decap similar to what Destar is doing to him. So it's one of those things where you got to be kind of cognizant of what's happening and think, what are the counter options that I have? If my opponent capped this first and is building a listening post on it, I need to go somewhere else, because in all likelihood, it's going to be very hard for me to stop that listening post. Interesting. Kind of going a mixed strategy here with one Raptor squad, one Chaos Space Marine squad, and then the cultists. As usual from Destar here, we're seeing this kind of multi-prong harass going on. This squad of Slugga Boys over here just delaying and capturing this strategic point close to the base. And then over here, Slugga Boys and the Big Mech coming over and harassing that point and decapping it. Very, very good on the side of Destar with the way he's kind of playing out the early game here. We do see that this is the no power variation of the start for Chaos, which is why I kind of thought maybe we're aiming towards Mass Raptor as well. If you build power early, it's going to slow down massing Raptors or Chaos Space Marines. So you generally will skip power until after you get your army up, and then you'll add on generators with this opening, so that you can play a bit more aggressive in the early game. I don't like just harassing the LP2. That's like a guaranteed loss of models. You gotta look for LP1s in this scenario, and Destar is doing a good job of reinforcing all the weak listening posts. So this one over here would be a weak listening post, that's an LP2. This one would be weak, it's an LP2. So really, it's this relic point that you have to attack, because there's a WA banner here, so this is a little bit harder to kind of run into. See these Storm Boys out, plus 62 plus 10, plus 110 plus 10. Huge disparity in economy is going to make this really, really unplayable at this point. Cannot afford to fight. You kind of have to give here and try to tech and get something better out. I feel like fighting the army here is of Destar is just not the play you want to go with. Does manage to get one squad of Slugga Boys, but that is a-okay if I am Orc here. I do not really care about losing one Slugga Boy squad. Storm Boys continuing to run around, destroy listening posts, decap them, which is just exacerbating the economic problems for the Chaos player here. This is definitely the point to be attacking, given that it's still an LP1, and you should have the damage to get it. And actually the fact that Destar kind of greedily built a generator over here for the reason to should really place a Tainted Acifix just to reveal these Gretchen. Storm Boys making this very painful though. As I was kind of mentioning about game 1, the issue with the Chaos Space Marines is if you go and try to push like this against Storm Boys, your opponent just has much higher mobility than you do. So they can come and counter-harass you while also coming and countering your army. You don't really have a retreat option here. Pile of guns done. Continuing the harass here, should really use these Storm Boys to decap that point. Oh, this is just brutal. Even with the stealth Gretchens to build listening posts on his opponent's points. Machine Pit down. Power Gen's gonna go down. This, I gotta be honest, does not look like a winnable position if I'm the Chaos player. I'm at plus 26, plus 30. My opponent's at plus 104, plus 20. I'm not going to be able to get my Machine Pit up. They're just going to kill all my eco for free. Yes, I can go and harass on the map and try to take out their points, but I'm losing more every time and can't really fight their army anymore. Even got a bugged Chaos Space Marine there that's just dueling it out with a Slugga Boy. Just fighting it out here between the Chaos Space Marines and the Slugga Boys now, but this is a very rough position. ZiKiPCHiK calls it, gives the GG, and that will be game 5 here on Quest Triumph. Very well played by Destar today. It's the sweep of the series and continues his reign as Emperor of the Hill. Let us see if going to be anything else here. Okay, so series is concluded. We'll let the players continue on with their day, and I will be signing off here very shortly as well. But thank you everyone for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the series today. And I hope to be back for more of these casts in the near future as my schedule allows. Been enjoying this quite a bit and learning quite a bit with each series as well. So thank you again for everyone tuning in. I will see you guys all next time, and hopefully you guys all enjoy some wonderful Dawn of War games. I may be playing a little bit later today myself. We shall see. Currently on my last day of vacation here before I go back to work on Monday. So I am, spending time with family and enjoying the time off here. So see y'all later. Bye-bye.